You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file.
That doesn't sound too hard.
Boom! This is Making Tracks.
This is the way.
Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
I know these people. They are brutal. Does this look Jedi to you?
That's not how the Force works.
They'll never see it coming.
Count me in.
Mr. Back!
So we're back with Mark Van Ohlen. We haven't spoke to you for ages, Mark. Too long. How's life and how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks, Mark. It has been way too long. We're, with Celebration coming up a month away or whatever it is, we were all talking about how much fun London was and what a great time we all had coming to visit your hometown. And spending time at the O2. Martin put on such a killer event. Everyone was just, it was such a blast. And I think every time I see you, it's like, oh, I wish you were on my continent. It's not even like you're in a different state or something or a different country. It's an ocean away.
Where do you want to start?
We launched the license in September of 2021. It feels like 1,000 years ago now.
Yeah.
We had picked up the license from Novos, who had lost the license in that high-end costume collectibles space, and we promised all of these consumers that we're going to be fulfilling the back order. Yeah. And I remember out of the gate, very few people believed us. There was a handful of people who knew me from my days at Topps, you included, a bunch of other people who knew me and knew that I had some credibility in this space that were like, oh yeah, we'd love to talk to you about what's going on there, because it's a mess. And I was like, believe me, I know, I read the internet, and it's kind of crazy. And so we came out with a few products at the end of that first year, and now 4 years later, we're basically done with the back order, which went on and on. It was thousands and thousands of pieces across over 50 products to hundreds of consumers that we've been mailing. We've been sending helmets across the world for the past 4 years. My poor customer service team, that's basically all they did. Plus, we have, items listed on the website that people are actually buying. So between the orders that we're fulfilling back order to the people who were waiting since, in some cases, 2016 for stuff, and then the items we were launching on the website that people were then buying, it's been crazy. 2023 or 2024 was a little bit of a lighter year because we had mostly finished the back order, and it was just those last straggler items. The Death Trooper helmets hit, the Sabine helmets hit, including a couple varieties, and a few other items. And now 2025, it's all new stuff. There's nothing from the back order. It's just all new items coming out, which is great.
How liberating is that? I mean, personally, from a personal point of view, it must be immensely satisfying to clear that backlog and be able to. I guess now it almost feels like you're not, but it must feel like you're kind of starting now. How exciting is that for you and the team?
Yeah, it's almost like getting to the zero level, right? We can have a clean slate. The cool thing is, while we were doing the back order, there was some good stuff on there that we wanted in the catalog anyway. So we built a catalog around that. But there's some weird stuff in that catalog because of the pre-orders, right? I don't know if I would have done a helmet from Solo for that patrol trooper. You know what I mean? It's a cool helmet, but that's in my catalog, but there currently isn't a Darth Vader because people were waiting for that patrol trooper. However, now that we can start over and really examine what are the consumer demands, what characters are not represented, what are some of the cool helmets that just haven't been out in the marketplace in a long time. We're actually going back and doing a Darth Vader. So it is very liberating to say okay, we can make some decisions as opposed to being beholden to what's on the back order list. So you will see Darth Vader coming out a little bit later this summer. Before that, though, we have some other new items. So a couple weeks ago, we actually just launched, we relaunched our Imperial Royal Guard, the long red one from Return of the Jedi. There's also a blue and a black version. So truly repaint, same mold sculpt, everything, the Shadow Guard and the Senate Guard. So all three of those are up on pre-order now, and they'll be coming into stock by Q3. And then we have launching very soon, before Celebration, the Captain Enoch helmet from Ahsoka, which was my favorite look of, Ahsoka had all those cool zombie stormtroopers and all sorts of other stuff, but we all kind of fell in love with Captain Enoch. And so we've been replicating that insane gold, crusty, dusty, flaky weird look for a while now, and it looks really, really good. So we'll have that up on pre-order in April.
That's exciting because, like you say, that was such a distinct look. And the zombie troopers all, to my recollection anyway, all kind of look slightly different. So there's the uniformity of Enoch and so such an unexpected look when he first appears on screen. You mentioned the gold. I mean, is that a new technique for you guys to sort of take on board? Because it felt quite unique in the show. So how did you sort of R&D that?
a lot of photo reference. And we asked for as much details as they will give us, right? Because Lucasfilm obviously wants us to be successful and to launch product that looks as close as possible to replica without giving away the trade secrets. So that was one where we were able to just use some metallic paint to create that effect. I think that portion is hand painted, which, usually these types of things have some type of machine over paint kind of thing. And then there's touch-ups or whatever. There's a lot of hand painting in this space, like Sideshow could tell you that, as Hot Toys and everyone else. There's usually some component of hand painting. I like to say that it's like couture in that regard, right? Like hand sewn. But the paint itself just has like a nice metallic finish to it. And he's very battle worn, so like the weathering really brings it to life. It's actually one of the reasons I wanted to try a zombie trooper, and then there were too many references to choose from. I was like, you know what? People can do this themselves. That's a great project at home. Like, get yourself one of our existing stormtrooper helmets and like paint away at it and make it your own. But Enoch is specific, so yeah, that's why we chose him.
And is there a long-term plan for Enoch? Because obviously his outfit's slightly different. So is there elements that you can add to existing pieces that are available that you can do? You mentioned like kit bashing a zombie trooper. Is there an element of that too if you wanted to put together a full Enoch?
I don't know if we have exactly what you need. I'd have to look that up from a kit perspective. There are so many great makers out there right now. What I'm finding is the big struggle being in my space is I don't want to use the word pirate. Lucasfilm might use the word pirate. But like anyone who's a non-licensed maker, as long as I'm not selling huge quantities to people in the fandom, you can make your own stuff, right? Like everyone's allowed to create, and believe me, I'm working on my own Ezra cosplay right now.
Nice.
For me, I'm not, just separate from what I do at work, which is kind of crazy that that's one of my side projects is like a costume. I can't escape. But like there are definitely pieces and parts out there that you can mix in for Enoch. He isn't a standard trooper. He definitely got some flourishes. I'm trying to remember now the photo reference that we saw for him because we got full 360 turns of his whole body, not just the helmet. And I believe we were given like the OBJ files for the helmet to help us create that digital sculpt because that's the hardest part is like getting that first shape and everything. The photography gets you close on the painting and all of the little details and stuff, but the actual structure, I'm no 3D modeler or, engineer or graphic designer, so I'm relying on all the artisans that I work with to get it right, but you need a good reference to start with. And that's usually the hardest part because, like, someone made that OBJ file over at Lucasfilm, and then they're sending it over to someone like me to make sure it's entrusted in the right hands, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, this is Andy Seacombe, otherwise known as Watto, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
And something you just said strikes me, and I hope this isn't a question out of turn, but because you won't or wouldn't, because there's not always a logic to doing it, make every single piece of a costume, like, let's say, Enoch, one of the subjects of Enoch, in relation to people making bespoke pieces that go with it. One, as Denuo, and secondly, as yourself, you mentioned doing the Ezra piece. How do you sit with that? Are you happy for people to have that capacity to build that up out of maybe a bit of your stuff and maybe a bit of external stuff? Where does that lie? I'm not quite sure on how that would work.
I think it's been that way for a very long time. Like people have always kit bashed and made their own stuff. And, licensed product is, I don't want to say it's new because that's not accurate. In fact, for Star Wars, they were out in 77 with trading cards and then action figures the next year. They were among the first to really commercialize product around an IP. I feel like they set the template and then it was, monetized in a huge way and replicated over and over again in the 80s. I think of He-Man, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Transformers. It became a structure, right? So it's been around. That being said, everyone usually had to like sew and make their own costumes, and it makes people really creative and gives them a chance to really express themselves. Like so I'm wearing this shirt actually. This is I don't think this is a licensed shirt either. Yikes. This is Ezra. You can sort of see him in there. This came to me from a friend named Colin. He's a cosplayer, and he makes all of his stuff himself. And his husband does like 3D modeling. He does 3D modeling. They have a 3D printer. Like they're very, they're not selling stuff, right? But they're making stuff for themselves. And that's how all the 501sters are, right? They're making their own costumes. The Mando Mercs are the same way. The Rebel Legion, all of those costuming groups. And then individual cosplayers are usually making, sewing, hot glue gunning, doing whatever it takes to make their costumes. I'm happy to be an ingredient to that.
Right.
I don't think we need to be the one-stop shop for everything. I don't think anyone can. Like, I don't have the bandwidth to go in and say, I'm going to give you a full Captain Enoch costume. And I frankly don't think there are enough people who want it for me to hit like a minimum order quantity at a factory. The helmet I could do, because you'll get people wearing it and they'll use it as a display piece and it's just cool. But like, kits, we have a buildable kit for Classic Stormtrooper and we have a buildable kit for New Trilogy Stormtrooper. Yeah. And from there, you can replicate it to your heart's content. How much weathering do you want? Do you want to add some like striping or piping or like some type of decals? The 501st is very particular about screen accuracy, but if you're a Mando Merc, go order one of our Mando helmets and like paint the crap out of it, right? Get out your spray gun, add your own little insignias and things like that, like really personalize it and make it your own. I think that's a good thing for everyone.
That's a great way of putting it. I've not quite thought of it in those terms, in that you sit within, you said the word ingredients, that really struck a chord with me. You sort of sit within that capacity for somebody to make it exactly as they want it, or maybe go off and embellish. Because Star Wars, like you say, it's the world of fanfic writers like me, but it's where I came from, and all the other stuff that people do that's unique expressions of their love for Star Wars that Denuo, you could look at elements of it. I mean, you can buy a full Stormtrooper costume from you guys, but you can just add that into the bigger sort of pot of that. I never thought of it in that term. What else have you got coming out? You mentioned the Imperial Senate helmet. I think we've put a couple of those articles on Fantha so far. What else is on the cards?
Yeah, well, I've got the Shadow Guard and the Senate Guard along with my Imperial Guard, Captain Enoch. And then a little bit later, as I mentioned, we're going to have a Darth Vader that'll be coming out this summer. We're working on exactly the timing on that. He's a big boy, that helmet. So we want to make sure we get that right. Enoch is very close to factory ready. So that's why the pre-order is coming up soon. But we're still trying to hold true to the initial directive we got, which was nothing could go on pre-order for our website at all unless we had an approved factory sample and we knew the timeline in which we were going to produce. That's how we were able to stay on top of all the delivery dates for our consumers. Now, of course, COVID and shipping crisis and you name it, I don't think one item made it out without there being some type of small delay. And it was just like a constant headache on that front. But the production, we're constantly keeping running. We did have one other item that'll probably be out much later in the year, and that's the Narkina 5 prisoner costume. So the pants and the long sleeve shirt. So it was, one way out, which is one of my favorite moments in all of Star Wars in probably the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish we had it ready for celebration. The cool thing on this one is we were able to send one of our designers out to Lucasfilm and actually like get one of the physical costumes and get it photographed professionally with good camera takes of turns and everything, but also measured, and we were able to make the pattern based on the actual physical costume. Now, I can't tell you that it's the one Diego Luna wore, or if anyone, Andy Serkis, or I can't. It's my understanding is that it was like a men's medium or whatever, or men's large. So it was someone's outfit. I don't even know if it made it on screen, but it was one of them that we were given, and this was the reference material. Yeah. So that was very cool. I didn't actually go, and I was devastated that I wasn't on that trip. But they were like, "We're not flying you out to watch." And I was like, "You're right. I have no skill in this. Like, I can't sit there and make a pattern." So our designer took care of that and brought back all this great information. So we're getting the color matching right, and we're working on our factory, and we'll probably also do the colorway where there's a blue version for the medic.
That's right.
So we'll put out both probably in a nice variety of sizes. We always go small to XX. So hopefully for 2027 at the 50th, if you're doing the prison run, you can wear something officially licensed.
That is perfect because I'm planning to do the prison run in Japan. I was hoping to do it in Europe. I was running the podcast stage, so I couldn't get down, but I've got my non-official, non-Denuo version that hopefully still fits me. You saying 2X gives me hope. And so hopefully I won't cut my feet to pieces running around barefoot. But
No, you have to wear shoes. I'm Mark. I realize that in the show, everyone is barefoot. That is a safety hazard. Put on your slip socks, like the ones that have like the grating on the bottom,
yeah,
or actual shoes. Also, I just don't want to see anyone's feet. So can we
no,
just
that's
everyone
true.
wear shoes? They'll also
Okay.
kick you out of the venue in theory. Like I remember in London, they were telling people you can't be on escalators without shoes. They will evict you. They didn't evict no one because there was like 1,000 people running. So good luck. But like don't risk it, man. Yeah, put
I'm
on
not
shoes.
gonna. I have bought some clear plastic sort of shoe type things, which I really need to try because I've got wide feet, so hopefully I'll make it work. Might have to cut them up a little bit, but
The
yeah,
idea of the screen accuracy versus people's safety and comfort makes me crazy. Like and here's the I love the Star Wars fans, but that's exactly the kind of thing they would do. Is like, well, in the show they're not wearing shoes, so I'm not gonna. And I was like, you're gonna cut your toe open and bleed all over the escalator, and it's gonna be an incident. People, please enjoy Star Wars, have fun with it, but don't take it that seriously. Wear shoes.
That's good. That's good logic actually, because just the thought of me running is enough to make me breathless, let alone
Yeah.
cutting my feet a bit. So I'm very excited about the Narkina outfit. That sounds fantastic. And for the 50th, wherever we end up,
Mhm.
hopefully we'll know by the end of Japan. Fingers crossed.
There are two choices. If we're not in Orlando or Anaheim, what are we doing? You
Yeah.
have to tie it to the park. And look, right now in California, and by the way, I have no inside track on this. I know I'm a
No.
licensee, but I usually have to give the disclaimer, like I don't know things. Um, Anaheim is a great destination for celebration. We've done it twice in the past decade or so, loved it. The Disneyland park is testing out stuff that is actually fun. So I keep telling people my big problem with Galaxy's Edge is that it takes itself way too seriously. The way all Star Wars things we take ourselves too seriously. Like we live and breathe this brand in a way that like other fandoms don't quite get. And in some ways it's great because we have all these amazing creators. Like the reason there's even a category for Denuo Novo is that people are willing to build stormtrooper armor and troop. Like that doesn't happen with Marvel. And
No.
that's like probably the next known franchise. People don't do that for Harry Potter even. They buy a robe. Like it's not the same.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of thing where like this fandom is intense, right? The 50th is supposed to be fun and sort of broad and reach a wider audience than just the people who are already super engaged and maybe pull in new people. And in
Yeah.
order to do that, you probably need to tie it to the Disney parks. But right now, if you go to Galaxy's Edge, it's like there's two rides and a lot of cool photo ops, and it's very self-serious. And then everything that's really, really cool costs more money, like the lightsaber thing.
Yes.
So it's not exactly, I would say, broadly appealing in that regard because Luke and Leia aren't there, right? Luke might be coming now in some like weird way.
Yes.
But, like,
That's right.
there's no Darth Vader, there's no Han Solo. Like, why does the Falcon belong to Hondo? I love Hondo, but like, where's Han? Where's Lando? Where are all the people that people know? If you're like a general Star Wars fan who knows
Yep.
nothing other than Darth Vader, Luke, and Leia, you're gonna go to Galaxy's Edge and be like, who the hell are these people? Like, you might not even know Mando. So, but Boba Fett's there with Fennec Shand. Who's Fennec Shand? I love Ming-Na Wen, but like, who's Fennec Shand? So this is the kind of thing where I think like the echo chamber of Star Wars needs to implode a little bit.
Yeah.
And it needs to be broader appealing. So something like Disney Star Wars weekends, which they used to do in Orlando and even in Anaheim, they're starting to do events like that coming to Disneyland soon, like these Galactic Nights and whatever else. So we're going to start seeing those more broadly appealing, less, I guess, storyline driven events happening in the park. That's what needs to happen, which is why I think you have to have the next celebration attached to one of the parks so you can do this kind of stuff that they're going to test for the next 2 years. It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
I sadly missed Star Wars weekends. I was planning to go to the last one that didn't happen. That was the one I'd made the decision I was going to go, and I never got to it. And like you say, you're there to celebrate Star Wars, aren't you? I mean,
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Galaxy's Edge is amazing, but I never saw Darth Vader do that dance thing, which I always wanted to see.
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video, and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
My big breakout on Twitter. And so I was a new licensee. So you know this because we go way back. I started with Topps in November of 2014. So they didn't even announce Force Awakens yet. They announced a movie was coming and it was still called Episode 7. So I was there when the title changed to The Force Awakens that December, like a month on the job. And we were making product for Force Awakens, Journey to the Force Awakens, everything related to that. And then 5 movies in a row. It was wild. That summer of 2015, my husband and I had booked a trip to Disney because we love Disney and we've been to Star Wars weekends before. We were planning on going. At that point, I was a licensee. And so it was the year that Disney just so happened that all their signage was going to be on Topps cards. And I was like, oh, this is too perfect. So I made a weekend out of it and turned it into trading card giveaways. Like I met people at the park. Ashley Eckstein was there. I met Vanessa Marshall. Like I did all this cool stuff and like tweeted. It was like a Topps takeover on Twitter of me going to Star Wars weekends. And I had such a blast. I was like, they need to do this every year. And then they canceled it. It's as if they saw me have too much fun and were like, oh, no, not for me. Yeah.
Not cool. Not cool to do that. But I totally agree. Yeah, more fun. Get kids in, get casuals in. We know the story. We don't need to live the story to, every time you go to Galaxy's Edge. And there was so much of a tie into the Star Cruiser as well, which of course isn't there, and who knows if that'll ever come back. So yeah, totally
Can I give you like a quick rant on the Star Cruiser?
Go for it.
Because I never got to go, but I watched enough YouTube to understand what it was, and it was really the price tag that did me in. I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan. I've loved this brand. I've worked on this brand for over a decade. I should have been first in line, and then the price was insane. And then for what you get for the price, I thought the value was just not there. Now, I know lots of other people went and had a great time. I have friends who went multiple times. I know people who like built characters and costumes and like it became their whole personality for a little bit, and it kind of still is. Like I was at a convention last year, Rhode Island Comic Con, which is like an amazing show. I tell people go every year. It's like really affordable, good Star Wars guests. It's a big VCN meetup. It's a great time. People were leaving Rhode Island Comic Con in the evening to go to a Star Cruiser meetup because those people still meet up and keep the Star Cruiser alive. Like it is, I don't want to say it's a cult, but these people are obsessed and they love it. And it was another symptom of like a sliver of a sliver. So the Star Wars fan base is already like broadly, you think it's this big. The people who are engaged are this much. The people who went to the Star Cruiser are this much. Yeah. So they didn't figure out how to make it available to the broader public, partially because of price, but also partially because of what was being offered. Like it's an escape room. So that kind of thing like didn't land for me, especially at the price. And then you also spend one of the days like fully in the park at Galaxy's Edge. I was like, I've done that. I've been at Galaxy's Edge more times than I need to. So I didn't understand that approach. Yeah. And for all I'm sure everyone has seen every video and everything, but you have to watch the Jenny Nicholson takedown. Yeah. Like I love her. And I realized that a lot of Star Wars fans were mad at that, being like, how dare she come into our fandom and give this outsider perspective that's way too accurate. Like it's worth your 4 hours. I watched in 45-minute chunks for 5 straight nights. Like it was my and with my popcorn being like, this girl gets it. Like, because that's what's missing is the outsider perspective to understand how insane we all look like when we're in it. We're in the echo chamber.
Oh, we're totally inside the bubble. I was lucky I did get to do the Star Cruiser, and I've since heard that I think maybe only 100,000 people only, but 100,000, but there should have been millions got to do that.
Millions.
And it was marketed completely wrong. I mean, most people just call it the Star Wars Hotel. It was no more a hotel than falling asleep on the plane going on holiday. So there was loads to do. And like you say, the day at Galaxy's Edge, it was like 9 till 1 at Galaxy's Edge when I did it with Martin. We couldn't wait to get back to the Star Cruiser. We blasted through the Galaxy's Edge stuff as quick as possible. Looked for stuff here, there, and everywhere, and found stuff in the marketplace, and got back and carried on. But it is a sad truth, I think, that and this is where it falls into that worrying perception of gatekeeping. You kind of had to do it to get how good it was, and if you didn't do it, exactly what you said, that the price tag, I got lucky. Certain things fell in place for me, and it worked out okay. And we were right at near the end. I think it finished 2 weeks after we went. The perception, as you say, was that it can't be worth the value of what you're paying for it because it was so expensive. And it was expensive. But and when you're in there and doing it and you lose yourself in the moment, and the fact that it was, unlike most Star Wars experiences, it was like a 360-degree experience where you look up, look down, look around. It's all there. There was no feeling of if I walk through that fire exit, I'm back on the street. It never felt like that when in fact you would have been back on the street if you'd walked through that fire exit. So it was fantastic. But yeah, they missed, I don't know what they missed. Way smarter people than me need to figure that out. But it was such a shame. And like you say, it was completely custom built. I got lucky, but it was completely custom built for folks just like you and me who could turn, we could flick that switch and be a guy in Star Wars going and doing this adventure.
I don't speak Huttese, but I could easily sink into an immersive Star Wars world and just be a
Yeah,
part of it. I've got a character built, like I know my lore, like I know how to engage with these things. Like
yeah,
I should have been among the first wave of people going.
agreed.
And that was the miss. And right, and Jenny Nicholson's video is the spectacular failure of the Star Wars Hotel. And
Yeah,
she's like, I know it's not the Star Wars Hotel, but that's what everyone calls it.
it
So
is.
there's this perception versus reality situation that I think Star Wars is struggling with. And I see it every day because I'm on the VCN. Like we
Yeah.
have a Facebook page of 70,000 plus people. We have programming all week. We're on the front lines of Star Wars news and rumors and dirt and gossip and nonsense. And it is a chaotic fandom.
It is.
It's a really weird one.
It really is. And to that point, you mentioned VCN. I mean, we've got Celebration Japan coming up. What
Yep.
have you guys got lined up?
Oof. Oh boy, what don't we have lined up? So, for anyone who doesn't know, the VCN, also known as the Virtual Cantina Network, is a website organization, fan driven. We are best known for our Facebook page, which is 72 or 73,000 members. We're the number one fan based Star Wars celebration page in the world. And we are definitely your destination for information. Like we've been posting information like faster than the Star Wars website, the Star Wars Celebration website, when it comes to news and all that kind of stuff. The Lightning Lane stuff went out. We had the post first. We also have a great community, and it is actually a very positive fandom. We take admin moderation very seriously. It is a safe space for everyone of all types. We have a really engaged group of people who post every day and talk about why they love Star Wars. Right now, the page is 100% a celebration dedicated though, because like
Yeah.
celebration is a little over a month away. So we are all in like getting ready for Japan. What do you need to do in terms of converting your money, getting your stuff
Yeah.
organized for autograph signings, the panel list, like meeting people and organizing how you're gonna get around with them. All of that is like if you love conventions, if you love Star Wars, if you love Celebration specifically, this is definitely the destination to be at. We also have programming throughout the week. So I'm actually the director of programming at the VCN. So I oversee all the different shows. And we've got programming on Monday nights. I'm actually the host of Clone Wars Revisited. I hosted Rebels Revisited, which was a look back at all things Rebels for like 2.5 years. That was really a blast. Now I'm doing Clone Wars. Wednesdays we have different shows. There's Daughters of the Galaxy, which is a female-led show on one week, and then the following week is the Nerf Herder Council, which is a group that we coordinate with to alternate programming. Thursdays we do a watch along every week of whatever's on TV related to Star Wars. So right now it's Andor, which is really fun. And then we have two different shows on Sundays that are thematic. So there's a Jedi Archives show which covers comics and books, and then the Unifying Force, which is a philosophy show. So we've got on any given week like 5 or 6 shows on the network, and then specials. So right now with Celebration coming up, there's like news desks, and we do a show called Celebrating Autographs with Frank Rich, who talks about all things getting ready to meet autograph signers, get your pens and your posters and all that kind of stuff ready. And Dave and I actually just hosted the last one. So it's right now it is crazy over at the VCN.
That's fantastic. And obviously, some people might not know, but before Celebration, you've got quite a special event taking place as well.
Yes, the night before Celebration happens in Japan. I will not be there, unfortunately, so I'm not going to Japan. I went to London, had a blast. Like I said, everyone in London just made it feel like home away from home. But yeah, we at the VCN are hosting a not-so-virtual Cantina meetup, so this will be in person. The tickets are sold out, actually, for the event, but we're doing some meet and greets with some Star Wars actors, but it's dinner and karaoke, and most importantly, hanging out with other members of the VCN. And then throughout the week, we'll all be getting together. There's like a family photo one day. So like you meet at the convention and get a picture taken together. And then everyone's sharing their like panel schedules and their photographs and their photo ops and autographs and all that kind of stuff that they're going to do so people can coordinate. So yeah, it's that event is going to be crazy the night before. But it is throughout the week that we've got hundreds of people going from the VCN, which is wild.
A lot of the Panthers are going to be in there. We're very much looking forward to catching up with everyone and seeing how it all goes down, because we did do the one in London, which was great fun. And yeah, it's just a good vibe. I think that's what we're into, because we're there covering news, but it's just nice to get in amongst fans and just catch up with folks. And just a thought strikes me that because of the fan engagement that you want to and need to do with Denuo, and then conversely what you do with VCN, it seems to me that those two things marry up really nicely.
They do, yeah. So even though I'm not going to Japan, I'm doing like sort of double duty on this where Denuo is participating in some of the Reed Pop marketing. So there's going to be like a scavenger hunt and things like that we're participating in. So you can like scan our QR code, find us at the show, and by find us digitally. So there's like a trophy collection and things like that. Reed Pop will be putting out more information about that soon. But the nice thing is it'll drive to our website where we're going to have a sale. And so people can get our product on a little bit of a discount. So hopefully while you're walking around and trying to figure out where to spend your money, you'll also come visit the Denuo website. And then again, while all the other VCNers are in Japan at the show, they'll be sending information back to us. So I'm keeping the home fires burning, as it were, and leading the VCN news desk that's going to be happening in America. So during the event, which is basically like Friday to Monday, but maybe Thursday night we're going to start, we'll have a news desk about what's happening at Celebration with the big news bites from the week. So we'll be getting information on the panels that people are attending, any news drops. We'll be keeping an eye on Instagram and Threads and Twitter and all the other news sites. All of us will have an ear to the ground. We have a Dropbox set up so people can send us pictures from Japan. The cool thing is because of the time difference, at like 9 p.m. Eastern time, which is when we're going to go live with our news desks during Celebration, they'll be at the show. It'll be like 10 a.m. Japan time the day ahead. So we'll be Friday night reporting on the events of Friday while they're physically at the show on Saturday. So if anything happens in the moment, we'd be able to like, hey, live news, like as of 5 minutes ago, this thing is happening right now. Like Mark Hamill pops up on like one of the stages or something. So you never know, right? So that's going to be really fun. So yeah, I'm heading up the news desk for that, and we'll be having other shows leading up to Celebration with other news related to the network between now and then. So it's kind of crazy.
That sounds fantastic. That really sounds brilliant. It's a lovely setup you guys have got, like you say, with the daily shows and everything else that comes together. It's a really nice way of doing it.
Hi, this is Dorian Kinji, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Our friends at Rebel Scum, they are hosting a convention. They did this last summer as well, where they brought in like 40 autograph signers, all Star Wars. So they did their own little mini celebration, basically, and brought in some really interesting autograph signers. They've asked the VCN to partner with them for 2025. And so a bunch of us are going down. There's like the core exec board is going, right? So Spencer's going to be there. I'll be there. Dave and Jeff and all the other like power players, Kathy, who's our events director. And we're helping with the show. And I'm getting a media badge. So I'll be like interviewing all of the different actors coming to the show, introducing who they are, who they play in Star Wars, getting to know them a little bit, and doing like promotional marketing materials with them, that kind of stuff. So I'll be running amok. I tell people I bring more of like a Billy on the street energy than a Ryan Seacrest kind of energy. So we'll see how that goes. But you know me, I worked with talent for years. I love it. I'm a fan of all of these people. Like I'm excited to meet all of them. Some of them I know pretty well. And some of them I'll be meeting for the first time, kind of like what we did on the VCN family vacation last summer.
Yes.
So we'll get to do all that. Spencer's actually working part of Rebel ScumCon with the team. I think he's like hosting a panel and doing that kind of stuff. So the Rebel Scum boys are awesome. Definitely check out their website. It's definitely a destination in the fandom. People know the Rebel Scum boards for one, having an archive that goes way back to like, if you need to find some obscure piece of Star Wars information, it's probably in there. And they're very active on all the things. And believe me, I read what they say about Denuo and everything else too. So I read those boards. And every other licensee who's putting out product, they've got opinions. So and as Star Wars fans do. So the con, I'm super excited about. It's in Texas. It's August, I think, 8th through the 10th.
Yeah.
Right outside of Dallas, basically. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time.
We're definitely keeping an eye on that, not just because obviously we cover news as well, but the people who are involved sound really interesting. Rebel Scum, as you say, is like a legacy Star Wars name that goes way back. So of course that's going to catch people's attention. And as the guest list grows, it's a really interesting guest list. So we'll see if the stars align. If we can get somebody out there, fingers crossed. It sounds like a fantastic event to cover.
It would be great to have someone from Fantha at the show. I realize that it's far. I know that New York is far for you guys. Never mind. Texas is like a 5-hour flight from me, and I live in New York City. But they have some really interesting guests, people that don't often do the circuit. Like Alan Rusko is going to be there. Dermot Crowley. So he's coming from England. You just hop on a flight with him. Who else do we got? Howie Weed is going to be there. Julian Glover in his final convention
US
appearance. He's
appearance, yeah.
retiring. He's in his 80s. It makes sense. Michelle Ang will be there. Rena Owen, who I haven't seen her do a show in ages.
No.
Stephen Constantino. Ross Beedman, who, how cool is this? That the little kid who's so memeable. I remember a few years ago when he met Hayden, and you could see Hayden being like, I don't know if I would win this fight now.
I can tell you a little story about that because I was involved in that meeting, actually.
I heard, please tell us everything.
So Ross, we do a show on the South Coast called Farthest From, and Dave, who runs Farthest From, is an absolute star, and he helped put together an event called New Forest Comic Con, and Ross came to New Forest Comic Con. I think it was like pretty much the first con he'd really done, because he was 3 or 4 when he made that scene in Revenge of the Sith. But as you completely correctly say, it's so memeable. Everyone knows, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do? He's like, it's a line in a film that everybody remembers.
The poor kid.
Exactly. And when I spoke to him, I think at the end of the interview, I said, what would you ever say if you came across Hayden again? And I can't honestly remember quite what he said. It was a little bit, I'd give him a bit of ribbing about killing me in Revenge of the Sith. Cut to a year later, and Hayden is at London Film and Comic Con. We're doing the Star Wars Zone. Ross is at London Film and Comic Con, but Ross was there on the Friday and Hayden was there on the Saturday. And we knew Ross by this point, so we phoned Ross and said, you need to get upstairs where Hayden is in 10 minutes because he's going to lunch. Get upstairs now. And we got him upstairs and we put the two of them together. And my biggest regret, I am not a photographer, Mark. I am not a good photographer, taking them or being in them. But I took a really good photograph of Ross and Hayden together that just went viral. And we put a Fantha, like the embossed little thing on it just to show that it was our picture. And somehow they cropped around the embossed bit and that picture went everywhere. It's the only photo I've ever taken that's had any value. But anyway, yeah. So Ross is a character.
That's always how it goes. Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
But it's a great story, though. I knew you were connected to Ross in some way, and I couldn't remember the specifics. I remember when he just sort of popped on the scene, and I'm like, can we put him in a new Star Wars? Because he looks fight ready. I'm sure this man could be a new Jedi Master in some type of thing. So
what a great connection. Maybe he survived.
Cool.
Who knows? We never saw. We never saw the.
He's his twin brother coming back for revenge, something like that. Look, Star Wars doesn't make a lick of sense when you really start thinking about it. Don't look too close, kids. It unravels very quickly, especially when you get the prequel lore mixed in. There's no way that Darth Vader built C-3PO. It's that robot chicken scene come to life, right? You sit there and you're like, oh yeah, that's really right. But no, he's supposed to. I've never met him, but I've heard nothing but great things, and that's true for everyone on this guest list. And I know there's some big names that they haven't announced yet. So the boys in Texas are working hard to make this convention even better than the last one. It's definitely scaled up in terms of size too. It's in a bigger convention center. Last one was at a hotel. This one is definitely at a bigger location. And the VCN will be heavily involved. So that's exciting.
So Mark, where can people find Denuo and where can people find VCN?
So follow us at Denuo Novo. That's DENUONOVO. That's DenuoNovo.com. We're also Denuo Novo on Instagram. That's really our preferred social media. We're on Facebook, but Instagram is just better. And we don't use Twitter anymore on the Denuo front. Be on the lookout for our celebration activation while there. As I mentioned, there'll be a scavenger hunt and some other things like that. There'll be something happening on the website. We'll have a promotion going. I should mention, too, if you're not already on our email list, subscribe to our emails because our loyalty program is going to be launching in the next few weeks, probably right before celebration. So if you're someone who has been a customer with us for the past 4 years, all the stuff you bought with us, you're going to get credit for. Kid Robot, who's part of our, NECA owns us, right? It's NECA and Kid Robot and everyone else. NECA just launched their loyalty program, their rewards program, last week. It'll be similar in structure to that. So we're using the same platform for our various companies and we're rolling them out finally. So the Denuo Novo loyalty program is coming. So you definitely want to visit the website and sign up for our emails. Separate from that, on the VCN front, Virtual Cantina Network will have a new website launching very soon. Should be virtualcantinanetwork.com. But you can currently find us on Instagram at Virtual Cantina Network. We're also on Twitter. And then our Facebook page, search for Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025. It is about 70-something thousand members. And again, it is fan-owned and operated, not officially affiliated with Lucasfilm, but it is the destination for all of your celebration news, discussion, meeting other fans who love Star Wars. It's the place to be. And I realize people don't use Facebook as much, but it's a closed private group. So you're also not susceptible to the outside toxicity of nonsense. So I love it there. It's the only fan group that I decided to join this one after being a licensee for years, to be a part of and be like an active contributor to, because it's a really great group.
It is a great group. Yeah, highly recommended to anybody, certainly within earshot of this particular broadcast. But that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark. It's always a joy to catch up.
Good seeing you, Mark.
Email radio@fanthatracks.com. Head to links.fanthatracks.com for links to our social media feeds, Fantha Tracks TV and Fantha Tracks Radio. Thanks to James Semple for the Fantha Tracks intro, Blues Harvest for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 o'clock UK time. Our weekly news show, Good Morning Tatooine, goes live Sundays at 9 o'clock UK time on Facebook and YouTube. And remember, Fantha Tracks is absolutely free, so it costs nothing to stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's another episode of Making Tracks.